and sisters, Assalamu alaikum.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قال الله العظيم في محكم كتابه الكريم: بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. من المؤمنين رجال صدقوا ما عاهدوا الله عليه فمنهم من قضى نحبه ومنهم من ينتظر وما بدلوا تبديلا. آمنا بالله. صدق الله العلي العظيم.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
In this night, we are commemorating or remembering a horrifying event of the crime of killing one of the great honor man on this earth, a man who was always defending the right of the oppressed and always standing against the oppressor. I remember when I was a kid, I asked my father, what's the worst tyranny or tyranny in the Islamic world? At that time, Saddam Hussein was alive. He didn't say Saddam Hussein. He said the Saudi kingdom, the family of Al Saud. And I asked him why. From what I remember, he started explaining, but I wasn't living in Saudi Arabia at that time. We were living in Syria. So I didn't have enough skills or knowledge to analyze what he told me. But in 1996 or 1997, we went back and I started seeing the horrifying reality of what he told me. We were studying, or we were taught in the school, that whoever is not Wahhabi, or let's say not belong to their ideology, is infidel, or polytheist, or you can say shrine worshippers. And that frame that they give all these people would allow them to say, okay, you can kill these people, or you can enslave them and treat their women as a sexual objects or as a pleasure objects. So that's not far away from now. You know that Daesh adopts the same ideology that Wahhabism. And you can see what they did in Iraq and in Africa and in Yemen and so many other places. They are doing the same thing that this government is teaching the students in their schools. Anyway, this was not the only problem about this ideology. This ideology was a problem because it was exported beyond the boundary of Saudi Arabia, beyond that country. They finance schools, organizations, mosques. So you know how this ideology got spread by money. And the problem with that they are recruiting people from all over the world to go back to Saudi Arabia and study the same ideology, then go back to their country and start teaching other people this ideology, which is intolerance ideology, which caused all this damage to this world, all this most of this terrorism nowadays is because of that ideology. So you can now understand why it's the worst tyranny in the Islamic world, because it used Islam as a cover for their political agenda. And what this harm doing to this country, the kind of harm that this country is causing to the whole Muslim is not a simple harm. You can now watch all the media which calling Muslims terrorists, which calling Muslim violence and other things. But all that is because of what these countries in the Gulf states mainly Saudi Arabia, are spreading all over the world, cutting heads, enslaving women, killing innocent people, you can name it. So why would they kill a peaceful man who's standing against their tyranny? Is he imposing any threat to them? He was alone. But if you want the reality, he was alone, but his voice, he was outspoken about their injustice, about their oppression. So his main message for the whole world was to be standing up with the oppressor and supporting the dignity of the humanity. His message was revolving around the verse of the Quran that says, وَلَقَدْ كَرَّمْنَا بَنِي آدَمَ, which means that we have honored the sons of Adam. And if you give this message and if you believe in the dignity of a human being, you would not accept any injustice. And you can go back even in history when Imam Hussein was faced by Al-Hurr ibn Yazid al-Riyahi, when their horses was thirsty, the military of Al-Hurr were thirsty, but Imam Hussein gave them water. Why? Because he imposed the dignity of the human. They are human and they deserve to have their dignity saved by giving them water and treating them as human. And that was one of the main causes that Al-Hurr ibn Yazid al-Riyahi changed his support from Yazid to Imam Hussein, because he saw what kind of human is Imam Hussein and what kind of dignity is he supporting for humanity. But anyway, we can say all these words, but this message was not only in his heart. He was, as I said, outspoken about that. And that kind of action is not tolerated in that country, because that could unify all the people against the oppressor. If you think about it, and if you think about it, you don't need to be Shia or Sunnah or Christian or Jewish to support the oppressed. You just need to be human. You just need to support the dignity of a human being. Because if you have that value, you're not going to tolerate any injustice. You're going to do whatever you can to support anyone who's oppressed, because that one who's oppressed is presenting the human being, is presenting you, because you are a human and he or she is human too. So the Saudi government never thought that someone could one day come and start talking about unifying the people against the oppressor, which is the main reason that they killed him. They killed him because he started unifying people. People start gathering, not just the Shia, all the people start gathering and start speaking against injustice. The voice started to raise in that country. So their government, their strength is fed by the separation, by sectarianism of people. But when someone come and expose that game and say, this is not right, we all oppressed, we all facing the same enemy, then the people is going to start to acknowledge that fact. Because not only the Shia back home are oppressed, even the Sunnis are oppressed. And maybe some Sunnis are oppressed more than the Shia themselves. But in reality, we all are oppressed, and we all have the same enemy, an intolerance enemy that spreads sectarianism all over the world, spread terrorism all over the world by their ideology. So, being oppressed is the common factor between all the people, not just back home in my country, even in Iraq, even in Syria, even in Yemen, even in Bahrain. And if you think about it, you will see the Saudi government hand in all these countries, even in Lebanon. So you would see the Saudi hand in Yemen in direct way, and in Syria in indirect way, in Bahrain in indirect way, and in Iraq in indirect way. And they're supporting all these groups of terrorist people by money, through organization, through an indirect way to save themselves against the international law, but they are the one who's doing that. And United States, UK, Australia, all these European countries know exactly that the main financer of these groups is Saudi Arabia. And they're silent about it because they're benefiting from selling weapons, or they're benefiting from doing some investment in the Saudi country, or the Saudi government investment in these countries. So they're silent about it because of the benefit that they're gaining. However, who's getting this benefit? Not the poor people here, not the middle class people here. No. I'm talking about the rich people here, the top 1%. These are the people who's benefiting from war, benefiting from these terrorist groups all over the world. In my last part of this speech, I would like to talk about an unfortunate subject that we all have here in the Islamic community. I'd like to talk about how could such a thing happen in the 21st century. If you think about it, we are in the 21st century, and you can go back to the United States documents, UK documents, Australia documents, Germany documents, all their documents, all their reports, and you can see that they all agree that my father was a peaceful man. He was never the kind of man who was inciting violence or anything like that. They knew that. But why the world was silent about this event? I can tell you easily that's because lots of people are afraid to talk about Saudi Arabia. Not only the Western country and the Western politicians. No, I'm talking about even Muslims. Even Muslims are afraid to talk about this. I'm going to start by my country, then I'm going to go further. But in my country, people, I'm not talking now about Awamiya, but I'm talking about beyond Awamiya. Awamiya was the hometown of my father. And I think because it's the hometown of my father, and my father lived there and did lots of work in Awamiya, and the people in Awamiya have changed over the time to be always supportive for the rights and standing against any tyranny. And they are the one who's paying the most price right now because of that. I'm not talking about Awamiya, I'm going to talk about beyond Awamiya. I'm going to relate that to the time when Imam Hussein went out to go against Yazid. Imam Hussein, when he went out, more than 20,000 messages. He got more than 20,000 messages from Iraq. They said, come to us. we want to start an Islamic government that would support justice. We all here to support you. And if you read the history at that time, Imam Hussein was the most holy man at that time. Most of the Muslims knew that. He was walking to Al-Hajj. When he was walking to Al-Hajj, no one would perceive him. They would always be behind him. He would go to Al-Hajj walking. No one would stay on their horses or camels at that time. They would all go down and walk like him, because they had all that respect for him. But did they support him when he started going against Yazid? No. Even when he went out of Mecca, he had thousands of people. He wasn't with only 70 people and with his family, no. He had thousands of people. But in the way, when they came back and Muslim, they told him about Muslim ibn Aqil, that Muslim has been killed in Iraq. So the people knew that people of Iraq are that back out from their support to Imam Hussein. They start leaving Imam Hussein one by one, until at the end it was only like 71 or 73 people with him, with his family. All that happened because people are always happy about talking about justice. They are, let's say, proud of talking about justice, but when the reality came and their words come in stake, you wouldn't see lots of people. Lots of people would say, oh, we have our business, we have our family to support. It's like the Prophet Musa when they told him, اذهب أنت وربك فقاتلا. Go, you and your God, and fight. We're not supporting you. We're here. It's the same idea. That's why we should impose and take responsibility and support each other and support anyone who stands against injustice by everything we can, because we're not going to stand up as a good ummah. We're not going to stand up and start a great time for Muslims unless we start supporting anyone who stands against injustice. That's why in the Holy Quran Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala يقول كنتم خير أمة أخرجت للناس تأمرون بالمعروف وتنهون عن المنكر. Because تأمرون بالمعروف, that means whatever is good you're going to order other people to do. تنهون عن المنكر, whatever is bad you're going to order other people not to do. And what's more harmful to people than injustice? If you don't order people to stop injustice, what's more harmful to people than other than that? At the end of this, I don't want to take a long time from you, but at the end of this speech, I would like to thank Al-Asa Association for organizing this event. I would like to thank the Islamic Library of Dearborn for hosting this event. I would like to thank every one of you for coming here and supporting this event. And thank you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. اللهم صل على محمد.